By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Welcome to another episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And today we are back in New Jersey for the Goblin Hero Charity Cup number 2. And we have reached round number 5. And the way this tournament is set up, they're going to play 6 rounds in total. So we're already at round number 5. This is their number 1 table. So both of these decks are doing really well and can still win the entire event. So the winner here is probably going to move on and still have a chance of winning the cup. And let's see, who do we have here today? We have Perrien. We saw him last time as well. He's playing his powerful triple sage deck, and he's taking on Chris, and Chris is playing the deck. So we've got 2 definitely top tier tough decks, mainly blue-white. They have that same blue-white control core, so we could be in for a long and grindy match. And I mean, this could be very, very exciting. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm hoping for a 3-game match, of course. I've got lovely deck photos of both of these decks, by the way. But before I jump into the deck of this video, first a message from the sponsor of this video, 3-for-1 Trading. 3-for-1 Trading is one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. Their online shop has a fantastic selection of high-end Magic cards, especially for vintage, legacy, and yes, also old school Magic players. But 3-for-1 Trading does more. They're now also buying all Magic the Gathering singles and entire collections, big and small. They're one of the top trading card game traders in Europe, buying way over 1 million Magic cards a year, and they are more than happy to make you an offer for your cards today. So if you have any cards for sale, 3-for-1 Trading is the place to go. Visit 3for1.gg/selltimmy to get your offer. And we are back and ready to dive into the decks. I'm going to start with the player on the left. Let's take a look at the triple sage deck of Perrien. And here we see the deck of Perrien. So this is called Triple Sage for a reason, right? We see those 3 Sages of Latinam there in the left top corner. And yeah, this is a really good deck. This is kind of a mix between, a blue-white control mid-rangey deck and a blue-white robots deck. And the reason it's a mix, right, we see that the Sages of Latinam are taking over the Gem Day Tomes because traditionally you would see a Gem Day Tome in the spot of the Sages of Latinam. And the Sage of Latinam could actually be a better draw engine because it's cheaper and you don't need to pay to draw cards. You do need to sacrifice an artifact. And that may sound bad, but actually it's not, because can you imagine an opponent playing a Disenchanter on Yasuchi, and in response you tap your Sage, sack it to the Sage, you draw a card. That's just perfect card advantage. And later in the game, you can start sacking your Moxen or Felwar Stones for cards. It's just super useful. It's a super good card, and I think it's one of those cards that you notice how good the card is when you start to actually play with it in decks. And maybe you're a bit surprised because you think, hey, shouldn't we have a full-on robots deck with 4 Triskelions and 4 Suchis and 4 copies? I actually think that the mix is what makes this deck so good. You're playing your 4 Suchis, which are super good in Swedish because no mana burn, so it's a 4/4/4 without a downside. That automatically makes your copy artifacts better. We only see 2 copy artifacts in this list. I would personally probably play with 3, also because your Mishra's Factory is a great target for your copy artifact as well. And early in the game, if you have some mana issues, you can always copy a mana rock and later sack that rock then to your Sage, get a card back for it. So I would be tempted to go for 3 copy artifacts, but I mean 2 also works fine, of course. And then we have the Triskelion department. Only 1 Triskelion here in the deck, just a one-off. I think that's kind of nice. You can use it more as a silver bullet than as a leading strategy. You've got your Demonic Tutor to look it up, so if you really need it, you're basically playing with 2 of those. And then Serra Angel. It shows how good Serra Angel is. I like that choice of going for Serra Angel over Triskelion here because it's 1 mana cheaper. I think the mana base can handle it. That's one of the reasons that you're also not playing with Mishra's Workshop in this list, because you want to make sure that you've got the double white when you need it, and you can start casting your Serra Angel. Serra Angel, 4/4 flyer that more importantly doesn't have to tap when she attacks. It's one of the best creatures, maybe the best creature in old school. I actually made a top 10 list, and it was in that list, but it didn't make the number 1 spot. If you're curious what made the number 1 spot, you can still find it on the channel. I put a little info card up for you, and you can go to that top 10 list. But yeah, I mean, this is just looking like a really good deck, right? I think every deck that has that blue-white core in it, will always be strong, and then if you have a good pilot, it can definitely make it into a top 8 at any tournament, and when I'm talking about that blue-white kind of core of the deck, I'm of course talking about the Disenchant, the Swords, the balance, also referred to as the White Power 9, right? Those 9 cards. And then, of course, you have your blue stuff with the blue power, but also counter magic. He's playing 2 counter spells and a mana drain. Pretty good. Again, those 2 copy artifacts. Copy artifact, super broken card, fantastic card. I mean, again, I would probably play with 3 in this list. And of course, your Brain Geyser. Don't underestimate the Brain Geyser. I mean, that can get you back. If you're kind of like in this dead moment where you're both just kind of top decking, then the Brain Geyser could be the decisive card, just like a Mind Twist can sometimes be. But a Brain Geyser later in the game is better when you're in the top decking mode, of course. And then if you have a big Brain Geyser, that can definitely win you the game. And I think today is going to be really tough for Perrien because, yes, you're playing with a top deck, but your opponent is playing with the classic top deck of old school, and that is the deck. Let's take a look at the list of Chris. And here we see the deck of Chris. So this is really your classical the deck. And maybe you're thinking, okay, how do I recognize the deck? Well, it's quite simple. You first want to look for Jam Day Tomes. And we see 3 Jam Day Tomes here in the main and 1 in the side. They're pretty cool altars, by the way. The Book Father artifact, I like that. And you may think like, oh, the Jam Day Tome, is that really such a big deal? It's 4 to cast, 4 in tap to use, and just you draw 1 extra measly card. Who cares? Well, actually, it makes a big difference because it means if you get this running, you're drawing twice as many cards as your opponent. And if you draw twice as many cards as your opponent, you're going to win the game. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's like playing against an active Loa. And what the deck player wants to do is just get the Gem de Tome out, control the board, or actually first control the board, then get the Tome out, then draw more cards than you, slowly kind of win. You know, and then maybe somewhere in the game start to think about dealing damage. Dealing damage is really not one of the main focus points of the deck player, right? So if you look at the rest of the deck, you know, you kind of can see that as well. All the control cards are in here. He's playing 4 Disenchants, 4 Swords, also playing a Divine Offering. So just a lot of answers, playing 4 counterspells and a mana drain. So, I mean, this is a super controlling list. And because he's playing creatureless, he's also included 2 times the Abyss. And then we have as a win con, because you may think, how is he going to win then? Well, first of all, he doesn't worry about that. When you play the deck, you first want to control the board. If it takes an hour, it takes an hour. When you control the board, you start to draw more cards than your opponent. When you start drawing more cards than your opponent and you control the board, you're slowly starting to think about, maybe I can deal some damage. And you're going to deal damage with your Mishra's Factories, 4 in the deck here, and of course with your single Fireball. So those are the ways to do it. Some of the deck players prefer to play with some Sarah Angels, but I personally think the best version of the deck is creatureless, like this deck actually. What I also really like about this list, by the way, Chris, is your inclusion of 3 sinkholes. I think that's really good. I think lands is just like you need answers for creatures and answers for artifacts, you also need answers for lands, especially in old school, because there are so many good lands. I mean, the Library of Alexandria can be backbreaking, right? You can lose the game just to a Loa, so you need answers for the Loa. The sinkholes give you that answer. Think about Mishra's Factories. How often don't you lose against the factory? The sinkhole can fix that for you. We've got Maze of If, we've got Pendelhaven. There are just so many good lands. And also, I'm not even talking about all those greedy mana bases. A well-timed sinkhole can, kill an entire deck, if you play against one of those greedy mana base players. So again, sinkhole, a really good card, a really good inclusion, I think. It is, of course, double black, so it could be hard to cast, maybe. So for me, it's going to be interesting to see, okay, is Chris going to use those sinkholes? How good are those sinkholes? I know it sounds odd because you may think, who cares? But when I'm looking at the deck, I've seen so many versions of the deck, I'm looking at the fine print. I'm looking at what is a player doing different than another player. And I think sinkhole is one of the things here that Chris is doing different. So I'm looking forward to see how that's going to work out. My prediction for this match, I don't know if you want to know that, but I think the deck player is the favorite, but Triple Sage, it's looking very strong. I think in this matchup, Triple Sage will be the aggressor. And, if Perrien can be aggressive enough, then maybe Chris will get into trouble. But I'm saying 70% the deck player, 30% Perrien, I think, Let me know in the comments below how you feel about this matchup, but I think the deck player is a favorite. If it's going to work out, we'll see. Let's go to round number 5 of the Goblin Hero Charity Cup number 2. Enjoy the match. Game number 1 of round number 5. Here we go. On the left, we have Perrien. He's playing Triple Sage. On the right, we've got Chris. I believe he's on the draw. He's playing the deck. And let's see what these players can do. There's an Island. There's a Mox Pearl. And there's a Time Walk. What a start here by Chris. Taking an extra turn. All Perrien can do is just sit back and wait for the storm to be over Turn 2 now by Chris, playing a City of Brass, tapping the City of Brass and the Pearl, taking a damage, going to 19. And what can he do? Oh, there's a Demonic Tutor. Wow, this is good. So I guess you've got two options now, right? You could go Mind Twist and then next turn try to twist. Or you could go Ancestral Recall. I would be tempted to go with Ancestral Recall because you've got the 1 blue open. I mean, to me, those two cards seem to make the most sense. And like I said, I think it would go for Ancestral because then you've got your blue open, you can refill your hand, it kind of feels good. And it's more fun to draw cards than to discard cards. But maybe, let me know in the comments, what would you do? Yep, there we see Ancestral Recall. So I guess Chris agrees with me here. It's going to draw 3 cards. And what a start for Chris, by the way. Absolutely bonkers. I mean, he's already walking away with this first game, and there's nothing Perrien can do here. Finally starting his first turn. Let's see what he can do. There we see a Tundra and a Mox Jet. And passing the turn. So untap, upkeep, and draw for Chris. Yeah, the power cards are just so broken, right? Time Walk, Ancestral Recall, and of course the Demonic. Insane start for Chris. Playing out a City of Brass here. Let's see what else he can do. There's a Mox Ruby. Ooh, and I think I see a Regrowth in hand. So he could go Regrowth Ancestral. That would be sick. Tap Ruby, tap City, take a damage. Go to 18. There's the Regrowth. Okay, wow. It's going to get back the Ancestral. Oh, this is insane. This is insane. I don't think I would scoop now if it was Perrien, but it feels really bad. There's like nothing you can do. Chris is drawing the nuts here, drawing so many cards. There's a Disenchant on the Jet. Gonna pass. Oh boy. Full grip of cards for Chris. Perrien playing a City of Brass, passing the turn. And yeah, Chris, all Chris now has to do is kind of find a Gem Day Tome, right? He's got enough mana. I think that's really important for him. More mana, actually. Here's Soul Ring. Going to tap 4. We're going to see a Tome. There's the Tome, Gem Day Tome. Yeah, this is what the deck player wants to do. Control the boards, draw extra cards. There we see a Factory. If you're Perrien, you have to get rid of this Tome. But I guess he doesn't have a Disenchant or a Divine Offering. Just has to pass the turn here back to Chris. And Chris can start doing his the deck thingies, which is, draw cards with Gem Day Tome. That's basically it. That's all. Keep Counter Magic open, draw cards with the Tome. That's all that he has to do. Perrien here playing another City of Brass, tapping 2. Okay, there's this Sage of Latnam. I'm expecting the Sage to be Swords pretty quickly, but who knows? Maybe Chris will let it be. He's going to pass the turn here. And, yep, on end step, there's Swords to Plowshares on the Sage of Latnam. So, Perrien going to 21 and losing the Sage. And Chris now taking his turn. And I believe he's already drawn 2 cards with the Tome. Maybe we can keep score. And he's going to tap 6 here, I think. Yes, 6. Oh, there's a Mind Twist. Oh, this is brutal. Oh, man. This is brutal. Like, Chris is just drawing all the heavy hitters here. Destroying Perrien. I mean, there's nothing he can do. Look at that hand, by the way. Losing all those creatures there. All in the graveyard for Perrien. Yeah, and there's really nothing he can do. I would be tempted to scoop here, to be honest, and just start game number 2. He is going to animate the Factory, and there's a Disenchant. Yeah, not surprised. Chris, of course, has all the answers, drawing so many more cards here than Perrien. And there's the pass. So I believe 3 cards drawn now by that 1 Tome. I'm going to try to keep score. It's going to tap 2 here, going to take another damage, going to go to 14. And there we see a Sinkhole here on the Factory. I would have been tempted to actually Sinkhole the dual land here of Perrien. Because you probably have more Disenchants and Swords to deal with an animated Factory. And then you force Perrien to keep using those City of Brasses. There's the pass. So another card drawn here by Chris. So card number 4, I believe. There's a Disenchant. There's a counterspell on the Disenchant. Yeah, that makes sense. Chris wants to protect the book at all costs, right? He just needs to keep drawing extra cards. That will eventually win him the game. That is important for him. I believe 4 cards drawn thus far with that Tome. And Perrien in top decking mode. Yeah, this is tough for Perrien. I think you want to go for, a balance. Could this be a balance? Nope, it's a copy artifact. Okay, then what are you going to copy? I mean, you could copy the Soul Ring for mana, but you could also copy the Tome and then think, if I draw into a land, I can start drawing extra cards. I think he's going to copy the Soul Ring here, and we see Chris here activating the Tome. So I believe that's card number 5 being drawn from the Gem Day Tome for Chris. So just so much value for him from that one single tome. Oh, there's a Loa. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, at least only 4 cards in hand for Chris. I thought there were more. But 4 cards in hand for Chris. But with that tome, he's going to reach 7 very quickly. Perrien tapping 2 here, by the way. Oh, there's a tutor. Is it going to resolve? It is going to resolve. Okay, then the question is, because maybe Chris is thinking, I'm just going to counter whatever you're going to play from the Demonic Tutor, which is a viable... makes sense to make that decision. So I wonder, whatever he's going to look up, if it will resolve. I guess you have to go here for the balance, because balance can kind of be a mind twist here for Chris. And of course, we'll deal with some lands on the side of Chris as well. We'll just give Perrien a lot of value. Perrien dropping here to 17. There's the balance. Will it resolve? That is the big question. Will this balance resolve? It's going to tap a white. Going to tap 1 and a white, okay, but that's not counter mana. Ooh, a disenchant, so I guess the balance is going to resolve, or else he would have countered it away, right? Right, going to start with the lands. Yes, the balance is resolving. Okay, we've got a game again, ladies and gentlemen. Perrien, at least it's kind of back. I mean, the problem on the board still remains, which is the Gem Day Tome, but at least this is going to set Chris back. And Chris will have to put some lands here in the yard. 2 lands, I believe. So there the Loa is gone. 3 lands, actually. Okay. This is a really good balance and the entire hand. I think, to be honest, I think I would have kept the Library of Alexandria. I know it sounds weird because you're losing your hand, but hear me out. He's got that tome still, and he's just drawing so quickly so many cards. I think I would have kept the library here. Anyway, Chris playing out a land, by the way, passing the turn. Perrien finding another copy. I wonder if he's going to go for Soul Ring now or if he's going to go for the Tome. I think I would go for Gem Day Tome here, but it's hard to see, of course. Chris again drawing more cards with that Gem Day Tome that has been in this first game there for so long on the side of Chris. Chris finding a factory, tapping 4, drawing again a card with it. Is this card number 6 or 7? I can't keep track. Anyway, it's a lot. That tome is doing a lot of work. And what's better than 1 tome? 2 tomes! Oh man. If you're Perrien, what can you do? Finding a Mox Pearl here, by the way. So if that copy is a Gem Day Tome, and it is, I guess, look at him go. He's going to use it, take 2 damage from his own City of Brasses. But yeah, drawing an extra card. At least that's something. And I have to say, Perrien, you're doing a good job, trying to make the best out of it. But Chris is just finding everything here in this first game. Again, going to draw an extra card there with that Gem Day Tome. So much value there out of that 1 artifact. Underground Sea being played out. And now, of course, he can start attacking with the factory as well. But like I said in the deck tech section of the video, he's not in a hurry. When you're the deck player, you're never in a hurry. It's always like slow. You're going to win eventually. The longer the game takes, the higher the chances that you're going to win. There's the attack with the factory and Perrien dropping to 12. Ooh, there we see a Chaos Orb. Okay, so is he going to flip here on the book of Perrien? Yeah, he's going to flip on the book. Super aggressive. Doesn't want to give Perrien even the slightest possibility of, finding an out here. There's the flip. It's a hit. The tome is gone. Untap, upkeep, draw for Perrien. I wonder how long Perrien wants to keep this up. I mean, he's in such a losing position. There's a Soul Ring. I would scoop at this point, and start thinking about your sideboard plan and start game number 2. But that's just me. And now Chris is going to draw. Also, I'm wondering if they have timed rounds, because that would be an extra incentive to just scoop here. Because you want to have enough time to play game 2 and potentially a game 3. There we see a Mox Jet here being played out and a Basic Plains. Of course, a Basic Plains really good against Blood Moons. Drawing even more cards now, this time with the second Gem de Tome. Passing the turn here, so not attacking here with the factory. So I guess he doesn't have Disenchant or Swords in hand. Perrien here is going to tap 4, it seems. Or we're going to see a Suchi. Going to tap the City. Tap the Pearl, tap the Soul Ring, so he has to take a damage. Oh, okay, Mind Twist. That's pretty sweet. No counter magic here from Chris. So Chris losing 3 cards. I believe a land, a Black Lotus, and an Abyss. All those cards, of course, are not very relevant at the moment. But the problem for Perrien remains. Those are the Gem de Tomes. They are the problem. That is what's going to give Chris here probably the victory in game 1. I mean, I feel like Perrien needs more than a miracle if he still wants to win this. There's the attack with the factory, by the way, and Perrien animating his factory. There we see a Swords to Plowshares in response. Perrien's going to pump it. Going to gain 3, back up to 14. Then probably take 2, drop to 12. Or were blockers already declared? So I guess blockers were already declared. So usually what I like to do when I have a Swords in hand, I don't play with white that often, by the way, or a Crumble or anything. I always say, okay, you animate it and then I kill it. And yes, then they can still pump it, but at least my factory, it hasn't been blocked yet, right? So I can still deal damage with my factory. But yeah, I guess that didn't happen in this case. Doesn't matter much because Chris has so much control. Those 2 extra life, they're not going to make a big difference. Or 3 extra life, I guess. Here we see the factory by Chris. So Chris can now animate, pump his own factory, deal 3. Then Perrien would drop here to 11 here in game number 1, round number 5 of the Goblin Hero Charity Cup number 2. And that's it. Perrien scooping up here saying, you know, you've got game 1. Let's focus now on game number 2. And both players are going to dive into their sideboards first, though. And we will catch back up with them in that game number 2. Game number 2 here is about to start with, of course, Perrien on the play after losing that first game. And I think the good news for Perrien is, I mean, you know, your opponent, Chris, was just drawing the nuts. There was nothing you could do. So now just game 2, you start again. Make the best out of it, I guess. Chris here opening, by the way, again, very strong with a double Mox. We're also going to see a land. And going to tap 3. Oh, man, there's a Mind Twist. At least it's only a twist for 2. But again, a pretty strong opening here by Chris. Going to take care of a factory and a red elemental blast, a card, of course, coming in from the sideboard here for Perrien. Untap, upkeep, and draw for him. He can at least attack for 2 here, kind of having a free attack, or perhaps he has a better option. Maybe a land and then a Suchi. There we see another factory, okay. It's a good hit for 3 here. It's going to animate. And he's going to pump, and he's going to deal 3 points of damage here to Chris. Chris dropping to 17. And he's going to draw his card for turn. And there we see a City of Brass here. Going to tap 2, going to take a damage, drop here to 16. And there, oh, there's a Time Walk. Again, finding a Time Walk. First attacking for 2 again before taking on his extra turn. And yeah, Chris really cannot complain about the cards that he's drawing so far in this match. Again, finding that Time Walk. And animating, attacking here again for 2. So Perrien dropping here to 16. And there's the pass. So missing a land drop, though. That's some good news for Perrien. Perrien, of course, can attack here for 4. First playing out a land, the Basic Plains. He's animating here, attacking for 4. And there we do see a Swords to Plowshares. So that means 2 extra life for Perrien. And of course, Chris does need to take a damage here from Mana Burn. Would go to 15, then take 2. So would end up on 13, I believe. Well, let's see. Yep, ending up on 13. That's correct. And there's the pass to Chris. Going to tap 2, take another damage. So going to drop to 12. Oh, there's a sinkhole here on the Mishra's Factory. There's the attack. Again, I think I would have sinkholed the Basic Plains here. And that Perrien on 16 now, by the way, finding a Tundra. There's the pass. Come on, Perrien. Hoping that you can make it 1-1. I would love to see a game number 3. But I have to say that the deck of Chris is really making an impression here. It's looking so strong here in this matchup. There's a Mox Pearl. And Chris a little bit in the tank here. Going to animate. Attack for 2. Are we going to see a Swords or a Disenchant by Perrien? Perrien going to tap 3. Okay, there's a Divine Offering. Okay, that works. Ideally, you want to use that, of course, on a Gem Tome so you can gain some extra life. But for now, it's important to just get rid of that factory. There we see a Recall. What is he going to get back here? Going to get back the Mind Twist. Oh, that is dirty. So Mind Twist here in hand. And Perrien, of course, knows that. So he's probably going to try to empty his hand here. Going to tap 4. Okay, there's a Suchi. There's some pressure on the board. 4-4. Got a pass turn, already kind of knowing that Chris is probably going to fire off the Mind Twist here. Mind Twist for 2. Going to get rid of a Fireball and a Disenchant. Very good Mind Twist. But hey, Perrien still has his 4-4. That's important here. Going to attack Chris. Chris dropping to 8, I believe. 9, okay. I guess he was on 13 then, and he dropped to 9. There we see the Mox Sapphire. And there's a pass. Okay, I mean, the Suchi is still living. Attacking here. It's going to drop to 5. Can Perrien win the second game? Chris on 5 needs to find an answer for the Suchi. Going to tap 2. There's a Disenchant. Answer found. So there's a Dis. Going to pass turn back to Perrien. Both players kind of in top decking mode. Perrien just finding a Felwart. Playing it out as well. And there's the pass again by Chris. There's another Manosaurus and a pass. So both players just passing turns here. And it looks like we're just waiting for or Chris to find a Gem Tome or for Perrien to find another creature. It's going to tap City of Brass here, by the way. Going to go to 4. Okay, there's a Recall. What does he have in there? Would you recall a Mishra's Factory to start putting some pressure? That wouldn't be really good, would it? He is going to go for the factory. Okay. I mean, it is something that can deal damage to Perrien. Now Perrien is finding a factory as well. That's a little bit unfortunate for Chris. Although maybe Chris has like a Disenchant in hand or some other artifact removal. He's going to play out his factory and pass turn back to Perrien. Ooh, he's going to animate, kind of showing to Chris that he has an answer. But there we see a Divine Offering taking care of the factory. And then second main. Oh, there's a Serra Angel. Oh, there's a Mana Drain. Oh, that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate, Perrien. You just need a little bit of luck. And then there's the Mana Drain. That is very unfortunate. Going to use the mana here to animate the factory attack for 2. Oh, man, that's so bad. That Serra Angel was so nice. That could have won you the game. But it looks like it's not going to happen here. Passing back to Chris. Chris on 4, Perrien on 14. There's the attack. Are we going to see a Swords? Yep, there's the Swords. Okay, so he's going to go back up to 6, I believe. Yeah, going back up to 6. Passing the turn back to Perrien. Can Perrien find a creature here? Nope, just a duel from the top of the deck. 1 card in hand for Perrien. Passing back to Chris. Chris has 3 cards in hand, I believe. Playing out a Soul Ring. Passing the turn back to Perrien. Perrien drawing his card for turn. Yeah, I really wonder what he can do here. Can he make it a 1-1? That's a big question. Passing the turn. Also, of course, lost his Fireball because of the Mind Twist, which is very unfortunate. And I guess no creature found, just a pass. So both players, again, passing turns here, waiting to draw into something useful. And you have to remember that both of these decks have a lot of controlling cards and mana sources in their deck. So it's very possible that they just have a couple of lands, some Disenchants and Swords of Plowshares and counterspells in their hands, which is going to make it really difficult, because then when you finally find a creature and you slam it on the board, it's probably going to get countered or killed. So here we see a City of Brass by Perrien. Ooh, it looks like he's going to do something. Going to tap 2 here. No, it's going to tap 4. Oh, wait a minute. Are we going to see a big brain geyser? There's a brain geyser. Will it resolve? That is a big question. It's a brain geyser for 6, I believe. Is it going to resolve? Really? It is going to resolve. Wow. Oh, I didn't see that coming. I'm like, okay, probably going to get countered. And maybe Perrien has a counterspell backup because he's kept 2 mana open there. But I expected Chris to at least fire off 1 counterspell. But I guess he doesn't have it. Here we see Perrien playing out a Black Lotus and a Mox Sapphire, passing the turn back to Chris. Ooh, there's a Library of Alexandria. Now I wonder how many cards Chris has in hand. I don't think enough. It's going to tap 4. No, 3. 4. Are we going to see a Gem Day Tome? Yep, there's a Gem Day Tome. As to be expected. I expected it sooner, actually. Are we going to see a Counterspell or a Disenchant here on the Tome? We're going to see a Disenchant. Yeah, it took a moment. There was some glare on the card, but there's a Disenchant. In response, he's going to use the Tome, so at least it replaces itself. So he's going to draw a card from the Tome. It's going to tap 1. And, okay, there's an Ancestral Recall. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, he's going to sack the Lotus. Oh, he's going to counter the Ancestral Recall. That is brilliant. Well done, Perrien. You really needed to counter this as well, in my opinion. Also because it would get Chris closer to that Library of Alexandria activation. So Perrien continues to fight here. Has to find a way to deal 5 more points of damage to Chris to win here the second game. Make it into a 1-1 here. At round number 5 of the Goblin Hero Cup. Okay, there's a Suchi. Can he copy the Suchi? There's a copy. 2 4/4 Suchis. 3 4/4 Suchis. Okay. 12 damage on the board. So Chris needs to find a way out of this. Let's see what he can do. Let's see how far he gets. He's got a full grip of cards, I believe. Okay, there's a Divine Offering, which is pretty good because it's also going to give him 4 life. Would get him to 9. That would buy him a turn. There we see, in response, Perrien tapping 2. Oh, he's going to Disenchant. So he's going to Disenchant to make sure that Chris doesn't gain the life from the Divine Offering. I like it because it means you keep your 2 Suchis, and it also means Chris is on 5, so you can win next turn. If Chris doesn't have anything else, which is a pretty big if, but who knows. There's a duel. Going to tap it here or not? Yep, going to tap it. What are we going to see? Just a Swords, perhaps? Tap the city. Okay, take a damage. Maybe a Disenchant. Okay, he's going to tap more. Oh, Wrath of God. Oh, Wrath. So he was probably expecting to run into a counterspell and was planning to, after that, cast a Wrath. Instead, there was a Disenchant by Perrien. Doesn't matter much for Chris. This Wrath of God was really good here for Chris. And, oh, there's a Sarah by Perrien. So the pressure is back. Sarah Angel hits the board. 4/4 flyer. Of course, Chris is on 5. Oh, on 4, I guess. So he's on 4. So that means that next turn he dies. If Perrien cannot find a solution here for the Sarah. There we see a Gem Day Tome. Going to draw an extra card. So digging for an answer. He just needs the Swords, right? That can help him. He is going to tap 2 or not? What are we going to see? Oh, there's a Divine Offering. Smart. So that will get him back up to 6. Oh, it's so hard to kill Chris. So difficult. There's the attack. It's going to drop to 2. Oh, there's the Time Walk. Time Walk gets him there. Game number 2 going to Perrien. And this was a fun game to watch. There was just so much happening. I really enjoyed this. Let's hope game number 3 is going to be as exciting as this second one. Game number 3, the big decider here in round number 5. Chris, of course, on the play, starting with a City of Brass, passing the turn to Perrien, and he's starting with a Mishra's Factory, passing the turn. So both players having modest openings here in the third game. Another city, and there's the pass. So I guess Counter Magic is up here for Chris. There's a Flower Stone. And I always love it to see. It's nice to play a Flower Stone when your opponent has City of Brass, because then it can make any color of mana. It's so sweet. Anyway, Chris wants to tap the city here, I think. Or not. And is going to play a strip mine. Could strip the volcanic here. Passes the turn, decides not to, I guess. And Perrien here, no lands in hand. I mean, it's a good hand, but we're missing the lands. This could be a problem, especially now when he passes the turn. Okay, there's a time walk. You know, when he passes the turn, he will let Chris know that he's in trouble, that he's missing land drops. So if you're Chris, I would be tempted here to use that strip. Nope, still not going to use it though. Perrien here taking his extra turn. Okay, finding a strip mine of his own. But he's so light on lands. Guess you don't want to use it. Gonna tap 2. Okay, there we see a Divine Offering here on the Felwer Stone. That's pretty bad here for Perrien. Can he counter it? That's the question. Gonna tap 2. Yep, counterspell. Very important counterspell. Really needed to counter away this Divine Offering. Or are we going to see a red elemental blast? Nope, we're going to see an ancestral recall. Okay. And we know that Perrien has 2 red elemental blasts in hand, by the way. But yeah, he stepped out with the red sources because of that counterspell. And this is really good sequencing by Chris, by the way. Knowing that, you know, first I'm going to fire off the Divine Offering. Then if Perrien has a counterspell, sure, no problem. Then I can play my ancestral recall in safety. And I don't have to worry about counter magic or a red elemental blast. So very well done by Chris here. And now let's see what he can do. He's going to tap 2. Going to take 2 points of damage. Drop to 16. There's a sinkhole. Again going for the factory. Passes the turn here back to Perrien. Now remember, Chris also has that strip mine. So could decide to kind of attack the mana base here of Perrien. Perrien again missing a land drop. That's very unfortunate for him. It's bad news, and I guess Chris has also missed some land drops here. Just passes the turn now. Perrien finding a Mox Sapphire. Has 4 mana. Then on end step, I guess this is on end step. Yep, there's a Divine Offering again. Going to take care of the Felwer Stone. Yeah, this time it resolves. Going to go back up to 18. But more importantly, the Felwer Stone of Perrien is gone. Okay, 17, I guess, because he took a damage from his own city, of course. Going to tap 2 more, drop to 15. What are we going to see? Oh, there we see a sinkhole. Taking care here of the volcanic island. And passing the turn. Okay, there's a scrubland. And now, of course, he can use the strip mine. So both players very light on lands here. There's the strip on the City of Brass. In response, oh, a disenchant. Look at this. This is so weird. So Perrien has nothing on the board, and Chris is, well, just the one city, right? The one City of Brass still needs to go to the graveyard. So, wow, what a crazy situation. Both players will have to rebuild again. And I think Chris has the best cards here, of course, to do so, because he has that City of Brass to start with, finding a Chaos Orb. Yeah, this is really tough for Perrien, because even if he finds a land, he knows that Chris is probably going to flip on it with the Chaos Orb. Passes the turn here back to Chris. I think for Perrien, you have to hope to find a Mox in a land, you know, and then have a disenchant in response to a potential Chaos Orb activation. And Chris here is finding the lands, by the way. There's another, mana source at least. And look at this, Perrien picking up the cards. He's like, you know, I'm so far behind, and you've got the Chaos Orb. This makes no sense, you know. It doesn't make sense to continue playing. That means that Chris is winning this 2-1. So, yeah, well done, Chris. I have to say, your version of the deck is looking very strong and very impressive. But guess what? He didn't make it into the finals, because for the next episode, I'll be back with the round number 6 match. That is the big final, and then we're going to see these 2 decks in action. So if you want to make sure you don't miss that, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, because then you will be notified when I put new content on the channel. And also, before you go, please take a moment to like, share, and comment on this video. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward. Talking about moving forward, you can also become a patron of the show. Check out patreon.com/TimmyTalks for all the information.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with Icketus, Ficketus, Sumba, Kazee.